As shown in a video posted online, an individual ran across the roof of a Lamborghini Aventador SB twice, after which he was knocked out by the supercar's furious owner. The latter had parked the luxury vehicle along the street in San Francisco, California. For unknown reasons, the man, who was wearing a rucksack, ran across the roof of the vehicle. The owner then chased after him, but the prankster circled back for another attempt to run across the vehicle. This time, however, the owner successfully tackled him to the ground. When the prankster got up, the owner knocked him back to the ground. A male bystander eventually stepped in and encouraged the car owner to simply drive away. The prankster appeared unconscious in the middle of the road as the car owner sped off. Number 10. Jay Ferrer. A YouTube video of a man getting decked onto the floor for pulling a prank amassed millions of views after being posted on March the 17th of 2022. In the viral clip, 20-year-old Jay Ferrer, better known as Jay Kinda Funny, was in a hardware store carrying a PVC pipe and using it as a megaphone. He then shouted at a male patron, who immediately got behind him and pinned him to the ground with a headlock. Ferrer then squealed, "It's just a joke." As the man continued to hold him to the ground, the video ended. Number 9. White Dolomite. Content creator White Dolomite carried out a prank on a Louisiana rapper which ended in a physical altercation. The incident was posted by Dolomite to his YouTube page on November the 20th of 2022. In the clip, the 32-year-old approached rapper Boozy Badass, who was shopping in a Walmart with a woman, child, and 3 other men. Dolomite initially asked, "Can you hand the mac and cheese to me, boy?" before demanding, "Boy, I said hand it to me now." Boozy and his group reportedly looked perplexed by the prankster's sudden outburst. One of the men profanely threatened to beat Dolomite up. As the individual continued to warn Dolomite, Boozy asked him if he was joking. Suddenly, one of the rapper's comrades punched Dolomite in the side of the head. As of the latest updates, neither Dolomite nor Boozy had addressed the incident further. Number 8. Tanner Cook. On April the 2nd of 2023, a YouTuber was shot and left in critical condition after attempting to play what he called a simple, practical joke at the Dulles Town Center Mall in Sterling, Virginia. 21-year-old Tanner Cook and some of his friends pulled a prank on a man by the name of Alan W. Coley, aged 31. According to a detective from the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, the prank involved using Google Translate to play the phrase, "I think you smell." Coley told the YouTuber to leave him alone and reportedly swatted the phone out of his face. When Cook persisted, Coley pulled a gun out of his vest and pulled the trigger. Cook was shot in the stomach and liver and subsequently required surgery. After an emergency call was placed shortly before noon, deputies immediately responded to the scene. Coley was arrested and charged with aggravated malicious wounding, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and discharging a firearm within a building. He was held in custody without bond. A judge ultimately ruled that there was probable cause to move the case to a grand jury, saying that while Cook was behaving in an obnoxious manner, the use of deadly force wasn't justified. Number 7. Michael Anthony Setzer and Christy Lynn Hammonds. In April of 2009, videos of Domino's Pizza employees violating a host of public health laws at a franchise in Conover, North Carolina, hit the internet and went viral. Through several social media platforms, the videos were viewed by millions of people. 32-year-old Michael Anthony Setzer, a kitchen worker, was shown putting cheese in his nose, blowing mucus on a sandwich, and putting a sponge used for washing dishes between his buttocks. On April the 15th, Domino's released a statement apologizing for the video and thanking the brand's loyal customers. The store was shut down for disinfecting and restaffing. On the same day, police filed a felony warrant for Setzer and his 31-year-old co-worker, Christy Hammonds, who shot the video and posted it online. Setzer and Hammonds, who were both facing charges of food tampering, turned themselves in and were booked at the Catawba County Jail on a $7,500 bond. 11 months later, Setzer entered an Alford plea and was sentenced to 6 months of incarceration, to be followed by 2 years of supervised probation. He was also fined $1,000 in order to stay away from Hammond's and any Domino's restaurant. Setzer admitted that what he'd done was childish, immature, and stupid. On November the 19th of 2010, Hammond's pleaded guilty and was handed a 45-day suspended sentence, followed by 18 months of probation. She was also required to perform 200 hours of community service and submit all copies of the prank videos to authorities. Additionally, she was ordered to pay $1,125 in attorney fees and prohibited from working in any setting in which food and drinks are sold. Number 6. Levante Grant. Deputies from the Harris County Constable's Office in Texas arrested a suspect for reporting a false robbery at a convenience store on February the 10th of 2020. The reportee advised dispatchers that the 2 male suspects were holding customers at gunpoint at the Easy Stop food store in Spring. When deputies responded to the store, located on Treshig Road, they determined that there was no robbery taking place. They made contact with several other convenience stores in the area, but none of them had been robbed. Upon observing 2 males nearby watching the investigation unfold, the deputies approached them. One of the males, identified as 17-year-old Levante Grant, admitted that he texted 911 and reported the fake robbery. He stated that he made the false report to see his friend get jacked up by the police. Grant was booked into the Harris County Jail on a $100 bond and charged with making a false report to the police. Number 5. Stuck in a plastic bollard. On June the 23rd of 2013, an Englishman from the town of Hemel Hempstead got stuck in a plastic bollard and remained there for over 2 hours. It was midday when the unidentified man placed the plastic cone over his head while playing around with his friends and was unable to free himself. Passers-by reportedly mocked and reveled in the man's misfortune. However, no one came to help because they believed he was just messing about, according to roofer John Waterman, who captured a portion of the incident on his phone. When a policeman arrived, he helped extricate the prankster. Waterman added that when the man was finally pulled out of the bollard, his face was very red. The video was later posted online and went viral. Number 4. Daniel Moran. George Proestos and Robert Milazzo. After 3 Australian teens staged a fake robbery for a YouTube video, one of them was left with a broken nose. The video was created by a Sydney-based group composed of Daniel Moran, George Proestos, and Robert Milazzo, who shared it on YouTube in 2014. The footage was allegedly taken by Milazzo and started with Moran withdrawing cash. Proestos subsequently approached Moran and demanded money. 2 men could be seen trying to help Moran until a third man intervened and punched Proestos in the face. At that point, the pranksters screamed, "It's a prank, it's a prank." One of the Good Samaritans replied saying it wasn't funny. Proestos' nose was broken and oozing with blood. In the aftermath, the bungled prank reportedly garnered hundreds of thousands of views online. Number 3. George O'Boyle. On July the 22nd of 2021, TikToker George O'Boyle from England led a crowd into a Clapham supermarket in southwest London where a violent mass brawl subsequently unfolded. The 29-year-old and his group, who were wearing costumes as they invaded an Asda store, live-streamed the ensuing rampage through the supermarket. The mob beat Asda staff members before turning on terrified shoppers, some of whom were knocked to the ground. The store supervisor, Lauren Scott, confronted a member of Boyle's group, 18-year-old Sophie Roberts. The latter, who was dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, punched Scott in the face. The supervisor tried to defend herself as another member of the group, 33-year-old Josh McDonald, high-kicked and punched her unconscious while dressed as Spider-Man. Concurrently, O'Boyle, dressed in a yellow tracksuit, struck the store's manager up to 15 times in the face. In the aftermath, staff also claimed to have been beaten with metal bars during the bloody fight. The police ultimately arrested O'Boyle and his gang. In June of 2023, O'Boyle and McDonald were jailed after admitting assault occasioning actual bodily harm and violent disorder. The former was given 2 years and 2 months in prison, while the latter was given 6 years and 6 months and would be monitored for an additional 3 years and 6 months. 36-year-old Ricky McKenzie, another co-defendant, was given a suspended sentence for threatening behavior. 38-year-old Mark Pettigrew admitted public disorder with violent threats and was given a community sentence. As of the latest developments, Roberts was awaiting sentence for hitting Scott in the face and threatening behavior. Number 2. Jason Roberts. A YouTube video of a prankster getting knocked out was posted on March the 21st of 2014 and went on to be viewed over 3 million times. As part of the attempted prank, 24-year-old Jason Roberts approached several people, asking if they wanted to kiss his ass. People initially appeared provoked by the question, but when he showed them a toy donkey, many of them laughed. One of the passers-by told Roberts, "Somebody's gonna knock you out." In the video, the last person Roberts approached warned him to back off. When Roberts didn't, the man suddenly punched him in the jaw, causing the prankster to fall on his back unconscious. Roberts' accomplice, who was filming the video, then rushed to his aid, telling the man who'd thrown the punch, "It's just a prank, dude." Roberts immediately regained consciousness as the video ended. In the aftermath, Roberts needed to get stitched up at the hospital for a wound on his face. If your daily they will kill you thirst hasn't been satiated just yet, then we have when tools go wrong lined up for you after number 1. Number 1. Nazir Valenzuela. A YouTuber was arrested for pulling a knife on an employee at a ShopRite store in Rochelle Park, New Jersey, while he was making a prank video. On January the 9th of 2023, 19-year-old Nazir Valenzuela, also known as Nas EBK, uploaded a video titled "We Got Arrested for Trespassing." In the video, which was viewed more than 440,000 times on YouTube, Valenzuela was shown screaming at customers and harassing workers in the ShopRite. After authorities investigated, both the YouTube video and surveillance footage confirmed Valenzuela's involvement in the incident. According to witnesses, a total of 3 men participated in the harassment, which occurred at around 1 a.m. 6 weeks later, the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force apprehended Valenzuela in Penns Grove. The young man was booked at the Bergen County Jail on charges of possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, extremist threats, simple assault, and disorderly conduct. Number 8. Anna Miliutzik. On September the 10th of 2019, Anna Miliutzik was working a pillar drill at a facility operated by P&D Engineering Limited in Coventry, England. Miliutzik, then in her mid-20s, was distracted by a loud crash produced by one of the other machines and turned her head. As she did so, her ponytail got caught in the drill. Miliutzik was too far from the off handle and she tried yanking her head forward, but was powerless to oppose the rapidly rotating tool. Her screams went unanswered in the commotion generated by the machines at the industrial site. Before the young woman passed out, she heard the harrowing and haunting sound of her scalp being torn off, which she later likened to that of tape being pulled away from skin. She survived the accident but had to have 9 operations in the aftermath and lost her left ear. Health and safety officials launched an investigation which swiftly determined that her employer had been at fault. According to industry practices, the rotating parts of the drill should have been fitted with a guard. While conducting its own risk assessment for the drill, P&D Engineering Limited had found that it required protective implements but nevertheless operated it without them. The company admitted to breaching a safety act and was fined nearly $75,000. Number 7. Alexandra Diaz. In October of 2021, Michelle Yee was teaching a Pilates class along Arizona Avenue in Santa Monica, California. As her students were beginning to arrive, the 37-year-old, who in 2007 had appeared on the reality TV series Survivor, noticed a disheveled and agitated woman approaching the open front door of her studio. The woman, who appeared to be homeless, reportedly started screaming at Yee that she'd stolen her identity and accused her of being an escort. Yee told the stranger that she needed to leave, but was then attacked by her with a rusty saw blade and a metal baton. The former reality contestant was slashed on the left bicep with the blade and then struck in the head with the baton. The attacker, subsequently identified as 25-year-old Alexandra Diaz, fled the scene. East students tried to call 911 but were reportedly told that all the operators were busy before they ultimately managed to flag down a passing patrol car. Yi, whose face had been left bloodied in the attack, drove to the hospital where her injuries weren't deemed life-threatening, and she received several stitches for a gash above her left eyebrow. Diaz, whom the authorities suspected suffered from mental illness and hadn't taken her treatment, was arrested later that same day and charged with 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. She had reportedly attacked 2 other people, inflicting cuts and bruises, but both of the victims declined medical attention. Her mugshot was released in the aftermath and attracted attention online, particularly due to the seemingly desperate expression on Diaz's face. Number 6. Matthew Peters. In the fall of 2021, Australian man Matthew Peters went viral on TikTok after sharing a remarkably close call involving an angle grinder. The power tool, used for cutting and polishing as well as sharpening metal tools, featured sharp-edged rotating discs. As Peters was working with the grinder, half a disc broke off and flew directly towards his head. Fortunately, the man was wearing a face shield at the time. The fragment cut through the plastic and stopped within less than an inch from his eye. Peters didn't elaborate on the exact circumstances of the incident during his video, which was viewed over 55 million times. He did, however, record the angle grinder, which still had half of the disc attached to it, before switching to himself as he had the face shield on, with the other half embedded in the plastic. Some of the users commented on the video remarked how fortunate Peters had been, while others quipped that it was time for him to find another job. Number 5. Mary Leong. A video of an incident in the Chatsworth neighborhood of Los Angeles went viral in June of 2020, and it showed a woman subsequently branded a racist, hammer-wielding Karen attacking her neighbor's parked car. Social media identified the perpetrator as 72-year-old Chatsworth resident Mary Leong, who, armed with 2 hammers, began striking the vehicle for reportedly no other reason than her disdain for its owner, Edie Perez. He was in Miami at the time, and the video was reportedly captured by his sister. Once she was done attacking the car, Leong walked up to the latter with the hammers in hand and told her that they should get out of the neighborhood. Perez's sister backed away and replied that she was going to call the police. Leong stormed off and later struck a garbage container with the hammers before kicking and dumping it on Perez's lawn, exclaiming, "Go back to Mexico." A second video showed Leong in an altercation with a female neighbor who'd grabbed her by the hair and was pressing her head down, but their dispute remained unclear. Perez received the clip of Leong denting his car and shared it online, reaffirming his hatred of racists. He detailed that since moving next door to the elderly woman, he and his roommate had been subjected to repeated racially charged verbal abuse. Leong was arrested on June the 10th but released the following day amid concerns over the spread of COVID-19. Number 4. Terry Gregory. Colorado builder Terry Gregory started destroying a bathroom he'd finished remodeling in September of 2021 after a payment dispute with the homeowner who'd hired him. Amber Truck had contracted Dream Home Remodels to work on the project and had already paid $3,330 of an owed $7,555. She reportedly wanted to inspect the bathroom and make sure the water was running properly before handing over the rest of the money. After announcing that he'd completed the job, Gregory told her that she had 24 hours to complete the payment. Truck was at work when Gregory, along with his wife and his business partner named as Jordan Cazares, returned to the address. Before entering the home, the builder flashed a middle finger to Truck's doorbell camera. The lack of immediate payment had enraged Gregory, who then used a sledgehammer to strike the tiles he'd previously put up, leaving a mess of smashed debris throughout the room. A neighbor filmed the destruction, which Gregory punctuated by yelling, "Is somebody going to pay me?" The neighbor repeatedly asked the man to stop and pointed to the fact that it wasn't his home to wreck. The trio then left the premises, and in early November, warrants were put out for Gregory and Cazares' arrest on charges of Class 3 felony burglary and Class 6 criminal mischief. A few days later, they were booked into custody in Gunnison County and subsequently released on bond. The story made national news, and Truck's plight drew sympathy from other contractors who offered to remodel her bathroom for free. Number 3. Hannah Walker. After a shopping trip, Chicago teenager Jasmine Weir and her friends decided to have dinner at a McDonald's near North State Street and West Chicago Avenue in June of 2018. While there, An argument about their place in line ensued between Weir's group and 36-year-old Hannah Walker. She reportedly started bumping into the teens while also yelling at them. As tensions escalated, Walker brandished a tool described by Weir as a handyman hammer from her purse. In the commotion, Weir stumbled forward, at which point Walker struck her in the head just inches above her right eye with the hammer. The teenager, who didn't remember the moments that followed the attack, spent the night at a local hospital, where she was given stitches but wasn't reported to have suffered long-term damage. The authorities arrived at the scene within minutes of the attack and found that Walker had made her way behind the counter while still wielding the hammer. Officers recovered the weapon and the woman was taken into custody on charges of misdemeanor battery causing bodily harm. Number 2. Portland physics teacher. Cell phone footage from a high school in Portland, Oregon went viral in the spring of 2015 after a physics experiment failed in a dramatic and cringing fashion. The unnamed physics teacher lay on his back with a plank of nails pressed against his chest and a cinder block on top of it. The teacher reportedly aimed to demonstrate the effect of inertia by having a co-worker hit the cinder block with the blunt head of an axe. A popular experiment, albeit not in a school setting, it was meant to demonstrate that the cinder block would absorb the energy of the strike by breaking apart, and thus person at the bottom would barely feel the impact. The second man raised the axe above his head, but as he came down with it, only clipped the block and struck the physics teacher directly in the groin. In spite of the latter visibly writhing in pain, the assistant hit the block a second time, partially shattering it. The teacher, seemingly shaken up, rose to his feet before the video cut out. Teenager Hanif Mubarak, a student in the class who'd captured a second video of the incident, subsequently confirmed in a Reddit comment that the teacher was alright but quipped that he walked funny for like a couple of days. Mubarak added that in spite of the original viral video being titled "How the Physics Teacher Lost His Job," the man retained his position at the high school. Number 1. Ian Horsley. On February the 23rd of 2019, Welshman Ian Horsley was helping clear out a neighbour's woodshed in his home village of Rosemarket, Milford Haven. Horsley was putting material into a power chop saw when his hand got caught on the blade. Still in shock, the 61-year-old remembered seeing something flying through the air in front of him. Within moments, he realized that it was his hand, and as he later told a media outlet, his world fell apart. The saw had cut through his hand, leaving only the thumb attached. He and a friend called an ambulance, but unsure of when it would arrive, they decided to drive to Withybush Hospital in Haverfordwest, about 15 minutes away. They arrived at the emergency room with the severed hand in the back seat, and Horsley was transferred to a hospital in Swansea. He was placed in surgery with doctors intending to use veins and tendons from his leg to reattach the hand. They ended up not needing the graft and were successful in sewing it back together, apart from Horsley's little finger, which the man would in hindsight describe as a small price to pay. Within 6 months of the surgery, after many physiotherapy and occupational therapy sessions, the self-employed handyman had already regained some considerable mobility in his hand. Thanks for watching. Would you rather lose the ability to laugh or laugh at everything you're told? Let us know in the comments section below.